I'm going to make a motion to draft an order immediately withdrawing Klamath County from both of these agreements. And I'm just I'm not sure, Dave, how he wants to draft that, but I make that motion.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or comments? There's a second on the table.
I'd like to make a comment. You know, I did talk about economic development in relationship to dam removal, but I never talked about the actual restoration agreement as it pertains to the water and the ability for the tribe to gain the tree farm. If the agreement went forward, whether Klamath County's in it or not, there is some economic benefit to the tribe. The tribe would have the ability to log the tree farm, and talking with members of the tribe, they have plans to build a sawmill maybe up in Beaver Marsh area or Kirk or wherever that sawmill is up there. So and if it goes forward, the federal government would probably put an awful lot of money into the community for a short period of time through programs and stuff. A lot of that would be consultants brought in to take care of conservation efforts for the tribe and for the restoration of the river. There is a certain amount of money in that would be pumped into the Klamath area because of those programs. So that's a short-term project through the different programs, but there would be definitely some money provided to Klamath County for a certain amount of those projects that are in the Klamath Restoration Project. So I did talk about the dam and how it would affect Klamath County, and I think that that's a pretty well explained in what I said before, but I just wanted to mention that I felt that the restoration agreement itself would bring a certain amount of money to Klamath County in regards to those programs.
Actually, you make a good point. The tribes would certainly manage the forests better than the federal government. Today, we suffer in Klamath County, 60% of the county is owned by the federal government, and forest mismanagement is a big issue. Forest fire suppression cost is outlandish. And if you could divvy that up into trusts like the proposal that's for the ONC land, it's not all in Klamath County. Only 2.34% of the ONC trust land is in Klamath County. But nevertheless, a trust relationship with the federal government or private ownership or tribal ownership, all of those would be fantastic for the natural resources surrounding our forest environment. So any of those pieces that we can execute where we get less and less federal control, the better off we will be in Klamath County.
Yeah, I'd like to make add to something I missed here a little bit ago. Some of the comments that we did get in the emails and the letters and in the comments 2 weeks ago at the public meetings was a ray of light and hope, I guess, for the direction hopefully Klamath County will go as a community. Was the common denominator of some of the irrigators and tribal members and regular just citizens wanting to get together here locally. And that's what motivates me to a very great extent is this needs to be a local solution. And I am encouraged by that feeling, because in those closed door meetings there was never any thought process of compromise. They talked about it, they called it compromise, but then when you brought up something other than what was on the table, it was totally discounted, and then they just moved on. I think until this direction we are going right now is stopped, there is no hope whatsoever of something else, a plan B. Plan A just did not work. It's not working. We need to go to that Plan B, and it's got to be local stakeholder motivated. And I think the only way to get to that point is to stop the direction we're going, at the KBRA talks are going, and dam removal, and reset it, reorganize it, and go forward with a better inclusive group of stakeholders.
I wanted to add some of the emails that we got and letters that people are generally want to be involved. They had some good ideas. Some scientists sent us ideas, and they asked if there was anything they could do in the agreement to make it work for all the parties. And I think that we need to relook at the agreement and take a lot of those ideas into consideration. That we got an awful lot of emails that said, I'm against dam removal, period. You know, well, what about KBRA? Well, he didn't say anything about the KBRA. They might not have known about the KBRA. They just wanted the dam. So I think the original agreement, if it would have left the dams in, that would have eliminated an awful lot of people from complaining, but also build some fish ladders so that they could do the other programs and get the fish that they want back past the dams. If the fish want to come up, they can come up the fish ladders. So I testified months ago about, I think that plan would have eliminated an awful lot of contention between the counties and the people downstream that want to keep the dams. Awful lot of people here right in the basin that want to keep the dams, but also down south, the people are more involved in the dams instead of the KBRA. I mean, they say, well, that's an agreement between the Klamath tribes and the irrigators, you know. So I think if that would have been proposed right off the bat instead of complete dam removal, you would have had an awful lot of people that would have been saying, you know, the dams are going to stay, that's good enough for me. So I think if the agreement is tweaked some and dams are left in and you can get fish past the dam somehow, then I think that it's going to do away with an awful lot of the contention. So, you know, I think that just like Commissioner Allen said, I think that moving forward, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think this is a starting place, and I think we need to move forward. I think that this particular agreement is I'm going to get personal here. I personally don't think it's going to be funded by Congress, so we need to get together and hammer out something else. And I think Klamath County needs to stand on outside of that and be maybe an expert witness or something, but not be an agreement, not be a signer to that agreement.
I'm going to play a little bit off of what Jim said. If you'll throw that slide that's up there with regard to this tiny bubbles, right? That little teeny bubble that represents fresh water in this diagram, it becomes vitally important. Think about how we go about saving this water resource, this fresh water resource. We no longer flood irrigate because we've got pressurized systems, we've got pivots, we've got wheel lines. It takes pressure to do that. Pressure comes from energy. As long as energy is inexpensive, it's accomplishable. When energy gets so expensive, you can no longer afford to pressurize these various irrigation systems. What will happen? Will we go back to flood irrigation because it's inexpensive? If we go back to flood irrigation, what did we just do to the volume of water that we have? And we're not focusing on building water storage. This is a path that is fraught with trouble. My contention is there ought to be two main thrusts. One is create more of those items that are expensive or more of those items that are in short supply. we cannot create rain, but we can store it. Water storage has to move to the top of the list. And any cheap energy resource we can develop should be an inexpensive energy resource that we approach first and foremost. If it's an expensive energy resource, it may work during the time of a federal subsidy, but as I notified earlier, the federal government is not wealthy. The federal government is, quite frankly, close to being insolvent with regard to how is it going to pay its debts over the next 25, 50, 75 years, according to the CBO. These are perilous times. My focus would be on creating more cheap energy so that we have more pressurized systems available, create power from this never-ending cycle of rainwater passing through turbines on its way back downstream. As it's passing downstream with appropriate fish ladders and fish passage screens, there is still the opportunity for glorious fish habitat in the Klamath River. By golly, look at the harvest we had this last year. Fantastic harvest. So these things are all achievable even with dams in place. They're even more achievable with appropriate understanding and intelligent design of fish passage and fish ladders. So that's my strategy for moving ahead and getting stakeholders involved. And if there are no further comments, I'll ask for a vote with regard to, Dave, do we need, would you like any clarification from the board?
No, I think I understand Commissioner Mellon's motion is to draft the document, and I'll present it to you for review during the week, and you can bring it up next Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a motion on the floor. There is a second. We've had plenty of discussion. Any other questions? Thoughts, comments? No further questions or thoughts? All in favor of the motion that's on the floor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye, motion passes. Very good. Thank you, Dave.